Hey guys, so what you guys are going to do today is kind of like a collaborative research project with your classmates, specifically focusing on the Humboldt penguins because these are the most common species of penguin that actually are in zoos or wildlife sanctuaries in the United States. The other thing about Humboldt penguins is they're actually an endemic species as well. So last class, you should have browsed through this document that we have here. So I'm just going to kind of touch on some of the key points from this that you are going to use for your little mini research project. So when we're talking about environmental impacts, we like to use the term HIPPO. What that stands for is habitat loss. So one main thing that can affect organisms' ability to survive in an area is habitat loss. So when humans encroach on those different environments, we take away their habitat and they can no longer live in that area. If we scroll down, the I stands for introduced species. Humans are really, really good at putting animals where they absolutely do not belong. One really good example of this in the United States is on the island of Hawaii. So, way back when colonizers went to the islands, they brought pigs over in order to get food. On the islands, before the pigs were there were many flightless birds because they didn't have any predators. Once the pigs were introduced to the island, they completely decimated these flightless birds' nests, understories, and now on all of the Hawaiian islands, there are wild pigs that are not indigenous. That means they are not native to those islands that are very, very invasive and completely ruin the habitat and native or endemic species. The next part of this is the first P, and that stands for pollution. So it's very, very obvious. You guys all know that pollution is very bad for the environment and it's bad for those organisms that live there as well. The next one, second P, is population growth. The human population is growing and growing and growing, and we don't know necessarily what the carrying capacity is of our human population, but we know we're going to reach it very, very quickly. Once we as humans keep growing and growing and growing in our population, we're getting some of that habitat loss. We're taking their natural resources that these organisms lived in or ate, and we're really, really harming them that way. The O stands for overconsumption. One of the big reasons why a lot of species were decimated in the early 1900s is something called market hunting. That's now illegal in the United States, many parts of the world, but in many parts of the world, it is not. So in the United States in the early 1900s, there were barely any white-tailed deer or turkeys left because people would harvest these animals and then they would sell them on the open market. And they would harvest them what we call unsustainably. So they would take maybe 100 deer from one area when there's only 105 deer that even live there. So the population plummeted. Then with conservation organizations, we're like, oh, we need to make like some hunting laws and seasons. And now we have more turkey and white-tailed deer than ever before. However, this is not the case in all parts of the world. One example of this is with macaws, those like bright red, really cool parrots. In Costa Rica and other parts of Central America, it's really, really common for villagers and even small children to climb on the cliffs that these birds live on and steal their eggs, hatch them, and sell them into the pet trade. So the amount of birds in the wild is going way, way down. Yes, these things are illegal. However, it's very hard to catch criminals because they're criminals. So we have to make sure to not overconsume the actual organism or the resources that those organisms are a part of. So you guys are going to use all of this information in order to compile basically like a little PowerPoint thing. So every class has access to a PowerPoint that looks like this. So you're going to do a collaborative research project with the people in your class. So in this assignment, you're going to research one way that humans impact penguins in our modern society, and then you're going to collaborate to make a choice on how best to save penguin populations. So what I want everybody to do is watch the video at the link here. So it should pop up in an extra page, and then look at this little fact sheet about Humboldt penguins. So this is a link to a Google Doc that you guys can read. So your task is of the 5 hippos. You're going to pick one of them. Read the article at the link. So that's the page more in depth about that thing. So you already kind of like skimmed the article. So now you're going to read that one page in depth and then go on one additional website. Okay. So if you're looking at pollution with Humboldt penguins, look at where they're from. Look at different pollution specifically in that area. So you're going to have to do a little bit of your own research. And the other thing that I want you guys to do is add one scientific figure. So a map, find a diagram, a chart with some data, but it has to relate to your hippo, okay? Don't just slap a penguin of or a picture of a penguin up there and be like, it's my thing. No, it has to specifically relate. There's lots of stuff out there, okay? And then add at least one photo that best represents the information you researched. Okay, all the information has to be in your own words, no copy and pasting. It is very, very easy for me to tell if you copied and pasted something. Because by this point here, I know how all of you guys write. So what you're going to do, these are the blank slides. Do not edit the blank slides. You are going to research one of these. So habitat lost, introduced species, pollution, population growth, or overconsumption. So what you are going to do when you get to the slide, you're like, oh, okay, I want to research habitat loss. So you can click here for information from the article. So that will bring you to that page of the article. So you can read all about it and type your information in here. So it's a little text box. You can type your information in here. This is where you're going to put your scientific graphic. This is where you're going to put your other photo, information from your additional source, and please make sure to write your name up here. So what you're going to do once you figure out which one you want to do, right click on the slide and do not copy, duplicate slide. And then on the duplicate, that's the one that you're going to edit. Okay, so for example, I would put in here name, Mrs. Weeks, okay, information from the article. Here is my information. Wow. Okay. So edit that. Insert your scientific graphic. Insert your photo. Down here, put the links to the sources you used. Okay. So edit everything in here. For the love of sweet baby Jesus, please make sure that you put your name on your side so I can grade what you did. Okay. So if you have any other questions about what my expectations are for this, please let me know. In the slides, if you see a lot of people doing habitat loss or a lot of people doing introduced species, try to pick one of the other ones. I don't want them all about population growth or pollution or anything like that. So please try to pick another one. Try to make them a little even. That it is not to be perfect, but try to make it a little bit even. But otherwise, have fun looking at pictures of penguins and all that good stuff. Bye.